Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 10K Project. We are here this week talking to one of our founders that presented with us. I want to say it's been 3 years the first time you came.
Close, yeah.
And he came back again a year and a half or 2 years ago. And now he is back talking to us about some business opportunities within the company. Also, an additional, maybe even the final investment opportunity at this level. And just really here to tell us about everything the company is doing. So I want to introduce Mr. Bondurant or as I call him, Mr. Caribbean Water Technology. He's got
Hey.
amazing, amazing, amazing water that is really, really good. And I just want him to tell you all about the company because we've had a bit of an evolution with the company too, right? And when I think
Yes.
about that very first presentation 3 years ago and what the focus was going to be, and here we are now with this. And so I don't want that to be lost on this conversation that sometimes ideas evolve and pivots have to happen. And I just want to talk to all of that. Okay.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
All right, sir. I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell us what's going on.
Okay. First off, hello, 10K family. Definitely a pleasure to getting back together again. And we have, let me just say this. We have great opportunities. The plan here is to give you an opportunity to see what we're doing, give you a progress report, provide you a little insight into our direction, and to clarify a couple of things, right? So my name is Nimon Bondurant, president and founder of Caribbean Water Technologies. Some of you have supported our mission back in 2023. And I want to begin by saying thank you. At that time, we were focused on clean water access and AI-powered water monitoring. We're still committed to that. As a matter of fact, that's a different part of the business that's still moving forward. But sometimes it's not the fastest horse in the race. Other horses will come forward and present themselves. And that's what brings me to you today. It's something that we started quietly and it's grown into a major opportunity. Our product, Soca Shores Water, a box water brand built by the Caribbean for the Caribbean. Just so you know, this wasn't a pivot, it was foresight. Years ago, island governments began planning to phase out single-use plastics. We knew that sustainable water would be the cornerstone of that shift. So we built for it. And let me tell you what we've done over the past couple of years. We built an infrastructure that includes FDA-registered Caribbean product, a manufacturing company that can produce 2 million cartons for us per week. We have at the ready almost 700,000 cartons at that factory. We have a logistics partner that helps shipments and handles customs worldwide. We have inventory in Atlanta and the U.S. Virgin Islands for regional distribution. We have an active distributor relationship in the U.S. Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands. We have an e-commerce platform, which is our website, socashores.com, offering 2 SKUs, the one with the raindrop and the beautiful woman up there on the box. And we have a digital marketing team that is actively building brand awareness. So as you can see, we have a foundation, a full infrastructure ready to begin the next phase of our company's growth. But before I speak to that, I wish to tell you how you can benefit from our company. First off, let me start by saying this isn't multi-level anything. There's no catch, just real product, real logistics, and real opportunity. The opportunities I'm about to impart to you, we're already doing. So we know they work. These include direct sales, white label, and investment. And here they are. We spent a bit of time to make sure that the thoughts that we had around not just growing the company, but providing opportunities to other investors was something that we ourselves had already put money into to ensure that it would work. So there's about 5 of them. The first one is called event vending. So the way it is you take a unique product like ours, subterranean water, you participate in festivals, food fairs, farmers markets with cold box water and generate income. Sounds simple, right? I'll give you an example. And we've done this, of course. Take a pallet, $15 a case is what we're selling it for. And depending upon where you're at, and we have shipped pallets out, it's about anywhere from $500 to $700 to ship a pallet out. That's 104 cases, 1,872 cartons. We sold them at $2.50 a carton. The revenue was $4,680 from one pallet with a cost of $2,260. That's almost $2,500 profit from one pallet. No gimmicks, no tears, just product, profit, and just a little bit of hustle. Second one is local subscriptions. You could establish delivery of cold water to offices, gyms, salons, wellness spaces. We're doing that here in Atlanta as well. Offer subscriptions, $30 a case. You build consistent weekly deliveries. You control the supply. They never run out. You build real income. And we're not just delivering water, we're delivering healthy water reliably. And because our water is subterranean water, the majority of people have never had it. And so they're willing to at least try it, right? Then there's subscriptions. Okay. You walk into a gym, boutique hotel, sports memorabilia store. I'm a big fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes, for instance, right? And in Columbus, there are a lot of stores that sell something near Ohio State gear, right? It's the scarlet and gray. And it does say Ohio State on it because they don't actually have the authorization to sell it with the logo on it. So this is a white label opportunity. The ability to provide a carton of water that looks like or speaks to your favorite team or nonprofit. And we walked in and we're like, look, we can offer you a private label. There's a minimum requirement for the number of cartons you have to buy, but you'll have a product that the fans are going to be buying. And we did that. And we now have at least at this moment 2.5. I'm saying a half because we haven't closed one deal yet. White label opportunities for people. Now, what this does for someone looking to get into business to do this is a way of establishing your contacts, your relationships. You walk in and say, hey, boutique hotel or store or whatever, we can give you a private label of your own company. And they're going to look at it and say, well, this is very unique. Let's give it a shot. That's going to establish a relationship for you. Now you're brokering branded hydration. It pays for itself. And then you sit back, you bring them in, we close the deal for you, you own the relationship, and you earn margins as the brand grows. That's that.
Okay.
Then there's fun. I'm sorry?
No, I got some questions,
Oh,
but I'm
go
gonna
for it. Go
I'm gonna
for it.
let you
Because
go through the
I'm probably
opportunity.
going fast.
You
I'll
are,
pause. You're
you
good.
are, but I'm gonna, you know how I do. I'm gonna slow you
I
down
know.
when we get there. I'm gonna
Okay,
let you
okay.
get all. I'm gonna let you get
I'm
all
just
of
gonna.
those,
I'll go through the 5.
and
The next one
then
is
I'm gonna take it back to number 1 after you go through the 5.
cool. Cool. Number 4 will be fundraisers, right? Churches, youth sports, nonprofits. Let them sell Caribbean subterranean water. Now, I like to use that word subterranean because this differentiates us from everyone else. This is water drawn from thousands of feet below the surface, right? This isn't spring water. This isn't municipal water. This isn't surface water that is reticent anywhere in any store. This is something completely different. Our water is drawn from a source so deep that it has never even reached the surface. When you crack the top of our water, it's the first time air even touches it. So you get a chance to taste what water tastes like when it first becomes water. So let them sell premium Caribbean subterranean water instead of candy and sugary drinks. They will definitely thank you for it. They'll buy in bulk, you'll mark it up, and you keep the difference. You've just moved 10, 20, 30 cases with a phone call. And number 5 is neighborhood delivery. Is that here as well, right? Knock on doors, post online, sell it at $30 a case, Caribbean, subterranean water, free delivery. That's because we're in the neighborhood, right? No store, no Shopify, no ad spend, 12 cases a week, and that's $1,400 a month. And you just build from there. So those are the 5 easiest ways to participate in what we're doing. You're bringing something to someone that is at a minimum going to pique their interest. They're going to want to try it. And once they try it, they're going to love it because the benefits of our water goes beyond it just being water because it's not just water. So go ahead and ask your questions before I move on.
Okay. Let's take this again from number 1. You talked about buying it by the pallet, right? What are we calling that opportunity?
You could just call it pallet buying. I don't know. I don't have a name. We'll just
Is
call
that
it.
more like
We'll
is that more like the wholesale opportunity or?
Well, all of them are going to be wholesale because we're selling it at this level at $15 per case, as opposed to what we're selling it online for, which is currently like $32. So we'll just call it event
Except you
vending.
got a sale right now for $22. Anybody who's on the mailing list.
Just did that.
Check
See,
that sale
that
out.
just
Even
went out
came
today,
out
right?
today.
Right, that came out today. So, but normally it would be called, say, event vending, right?
Okay.
You just participate in food fairs and farmers markets, et cetera, and you take it out there, cold box water, and you generate income from it. So we'll call that event vending. For lack of a better phrase, we'll say that.
Okay, I like that, event vending. So
Yeah.
event vending, $15 a case. The pallet is 104 cases, right?
That is correct.
And you said that 104 cases equals 1,872 cartons of water, right? And they are 16.9 ounces.
Ounces. the normal box bottled water you would buy, but in a carton, of course.
And
And
you said that these sell for how much per unit?
you could well, so we're selling them, as that at about $2.50. When we
Oh,
go to
250.
events, it's $2.50 a carton, right? So I'm not saying you're necessarily going to sell a whole pallet at an event, but we've done it, right? So you end up generating about $4,700 per pallet, with a $2,250 cost. And so your profit is about 51%, which is substantial.
That's a good profit. That's a
That's
very good margin.
substantial.
Yeah, that's a very good margin. And 250 is reasonable for, and you guys know that I don't hold a container up unless I'm vowing for it. It's really, really good. And I want to put a pin in something you said a moment ago. It's the first time it's had air or something. We got to talk about that because I
Let me
don't
give you
understand
that.
what you
Let me
mean.
give you that real quick. So, we've done last year. We did taste tests all over the Caribbean, right? And people were like, "This is fantastic. My uncle has a well." And I'm like, not the same thing, right? Well, 800, 1,200 feet down. We're thousands of feet down in a protected aquifer. So imagine, if you will, a cave underground. It
Okay.
gets drilled into, and inside of it is a huge body of water. Now, that water's never made it to the surface ever. And the
Mm,
only air it's touched is what's in that cave thousands of feet below the surface. So, what our equipment does is it pulls it up into the machinery and boxes it, but it never ever touches air at the surface. We have a gas in there that the water passes through that prevents the growth of bacteria or anything else. And the water enters the box and sealed instantly. So the first time you crack the cap is the first time the air that you and I breathe actually touches the water. So you're tasting water when it first becomes water. And I say that because at that level, the water that exists there is water that is permeated through, say, lava, lava rock, and sedimentary rock. So it's got all of the constituents like salt filtered out. It's just delicious water with natural minerals, and a certain level of pH. So you're tasting water that is water the first time it becomes water. Now, you've heard of that type of water before, and there are companies like Fiji sell it, right? And it's at a very deep level. But Fiji's on the other side of the world. We don't really kind of think of them so much, but this is on our hemisphere, water at a very deep level that has never been touched or consumed by anyone on the surface, at least in this area of the world.
right. No, it is absolutely delicious, and I thank you for that explanation because I wondered what you were doing to taste it, to make it taste so good. I assumed there was some kind of
Done nothing.
filtration. Well, that's what
Right,
I'm hearing now. But I
right. We've
originally
done,
thought, oh,
you,
he
you,
used the fancy machine to filter the water
yeah,
and made
yeah.
it taste good because
Well, so
that's
you've
what I
heard,
remember, right? Is
right,
the machine.
right. You've heard of the term artesian water before, right?
Hmm.
Right. So think of artesian water as water that's at the same level we're at, except it's under pressure. So the moment you crack a hole in the top of the rock, the water sprays up. So when you crack it, it has a natural proclivity to push to the surface, and they gather it. Ours isn't that way. Ours at the same level, but it's not under pressure. So it's not considered artesian water. It's just subterranean. Same level, same water, just not under pressure.
Very good. Okay, so we've got our event sales. Then you
Right.
talked about the subscription.
Right. So the subscription is really just establishing where you can deliver it to gyms and salons and wellness spaces. Here in Atlanta, I've made it a point to go around and talk to gym owners, et cetera, and some salons as well, and say, look, you guys are already selling water. Why not sell something healthy? Because the things you're doing here are about health for the most part, wellness spaces, et cetera. Um, I would say that probably 70 to 80% of them ask for a couple of cases so they could, you know, provide it to their membership. And probably within the space of a week, all of them ordered more. So all that is you establish kind of the locations, the gyms, the salons, the wellness spaces, and you sell it to them for subscriptions, $30 a case. They can sell it whatever they want. That allows you to build consistent weekly deliveries. You control the supply. They never run out. You end up building real income. But now what you do is you have someone out there selling your product for you. And you have a huge advantage. You have a product that no one else has. And that is, of course, and I'm going to emphasize that that is a very important aspect of what we're doing. We're not
Mhm.
coming to you with something that, everyone drinks water, obviously, but this is just a better version of it.
Right.
So when you walk in and say, look, you're a personal trainer, you're teaching people, healthy ways to extend their life. Why not make sure that the water they drink doesn't diminish that as well? So when we talk about subscriptions, that's what we're talking about, establishing delivery to these places. You go out, you introduce them to the product, they end up liking it and they start ordering from you. And now, you don't have to sell it to them again because they love it.
Very good. So in those two opportunities, it actually has or maintains the Soka Shores water label. But then when we talk about white label opportunities, this label can
Right.
change to anything you want it to be, right? So if I've got
Exactly.
the 10K water company, right, this
Right,
can
right,
this can
right.
be a special logo made for
That's
my
right.
water company. If someone else has a different company name, so that's when you take this label and you replace it with one of your own. And so behind the scenes, it's still Soka Shore's delicious subterranean water, but to the average person, they only know you, right? And they only know your company name. Is that
Exactly. It's called
correct?
exactly. It's called co-branding, right? So, you're going to the white label is where you go into a boutique hotel, sports memorabilia place, as I mentioned, or it could be a fraternity or sorority, right? And you say, look, we can put your logo on this bottle, and you could sell it to your membership. So it is an opportunity to extend the brand, as it were, right? To make, to take your presentation and send it out there with a quality product. We're not trying to sell liquor. We're not popping bottles. We're popping boxes here, right? Fantastic product, but the difference is that now it's yours. Now we're on the back because the back at the bottom in a very small print, it's still going to be Soka Shores because we are in the business of selling water, right? But we also want to help you grow your business. So if you do happen to have the relationship with an entity, an organization that would like to have their own box water, not just any, this isn't municipal water, then we can introduce that to their repertoire and they can say, look, our hotel or our event or our fraternity or group can now have our own box water that we can raise money off of or sell, if you
Or
will.
sell, right? Or sell.
Now,
Very
there's a minimum requirement to that, and that's the catch, right? So a private label, it's called a private label or white label. You have to have 50,000 cartons. That's about 27 pallets. But we're expecting that if you're interested in that sort of kind of move that you already have, we're talking to a couple of fraternities and sororities who have significant numbers of members, and they believe that if they can get their logo on this, then they can certainly move the volume, and we're here to support that,
Do you
right?
have to buy the volume all at once, or you just have to secure the 27 pallets? So I commit that in at the term of our agreement, I will acquire 27 pallets, but I don't have to get them all at one time, right?
No, you don't. No, you
Okay.
don't. You just have to place the order. We will handle storage for you. We'll keep them and you get them as you need.
Very, very good. And is the
Mhm.
price the same for
It's
private label, the same $15 a case?
Well, no, no, no. It's a little different then, and I can provide you with the details on that one. It's not $15 a case is wholesale. Private label's a little different, right? It's going to be less,
Right.
right? Because the whole idea here is for you to generate income, for you to push your brand out there, and we want to support that. And even though wholesale is really good pricing, it is. And when you're talking about ordering 27 pallets of water, 50,000 cartons, that's scale of volume. We want to make sure that we put you in a position to succeed.
Okay. So cheaper than $15. Okay, perfect. Now we talked
Fundraisers.
about the fundraising.
Mhm.
So instead of taking the candy bars, right, and the
Right? Popcorn and
popcorn, right,
chips,
and chips and the
which I'm
cookies.
guilty of buying because I got nieces and nephews and friends and cousins, and I get those emails all the time. You must buy our popcorn. I get it, right? And I get what they're trying to do, and it's fantastic because everybody's sugary, candies and cookies and drinks, sugary drinks. But to be able to offer, a premium boxed water that's fantastic is in my, at least in my thoughts, something that is going to be easier to sell, especially if you're raising for, say, a team or something that involves health, right? So you can pitch to churches, youth sports, nonprofits, etc. Selling water, not just any water, but something of this quality, you're going to draw and attract much more attention. We've done it, I can tell you. It's anecdotal, but we've done it, and it works. Um, People want to use it for fundraising. People are using it for fundraising. Um, Mainly because everybody drinks water, right? Not everybody eats Snickers, but everyone drinks water.
Yeah.
And so we're putting you in a position to offer something that someone already drinks, a better version of it, that you can raise money off of. And we give you all the bragging rights in the world because we have a premium box water. This isn't just water, this is premium water. So
Yeah, I love this idea. I think about those days when I was a mom of a young son, and he was in all the sporting events, right? And it was like my week, my club's week for concession, right? And how much water, like on those hot days,
yeah,
whether it was karate, basketball, wrestling, he did all the things, right? And
right.
so I remember those days at concession, and we would go through cases and cases and cases of water that we bought retail, right? And didn't make a dime off of it. Real, I mean, maybe a little bit, right?
Right.
But this is truly, I love this idea because this really turns it into a business model that can give back to the club, right, in a really good way. And most of these clubs are, not through organizations that get a lot of funding, right? Most of the time, they're
Right.
neighborhood sporting events or through a school or something like that, and they need the funding.
Right. And if you think about it as well, you're also talking about, and I get what you're done. We've done it as well. You know, only now is it really coming out how bad single-use plastics are for our body. They're like you drink a couple of cases of water, you have the equivalent of a credit card worth of plastic in your body.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Naturally, this is always how it works out. They get you hooked on something, and then because I remember a time when I was like, I'm never gonna drink water out of a bottle. Wrong. Right. So, like a lot of people are drinking out of a bottle, didn't realize the negative component that was tied to it. And so now we're in a position where we're reacting to it and saying, look, we got to figure out a way to, we can't undo the damage that's been done. If it's been done, we have to start at this moment and try to improve things. And so our water is naturally microplastic free. So
Mm.
that's another reason that makes it fantastic. Set aside the fact that it's, subterranean. It's not only naturally microplastic free, but it's also certified microplastic free. So you're actually bringing something in that on a hot day when someone's out there, they're not drinking 240,000 micro fragments of plastic because they're drinking out of a single use plastic bottle. They're drinking water and only water. So the body doesn't have to fight off something that wasn't there before they consumed the water.
And I read something on here. I'm trying to find it now. I read something. Where was it? Where was it? Because the only thing plastic on here is the cap, right?
No, the cap's made out of sugar cane.
That's what it was. Where did I read that at? Where is
Right,
it? It's on here somewhere. Oh, here it
right.
is.
It is
Sugar cane
definitely.
based cap. And I
That's
wanted
right.
to talk about that because I was like, sugar cane that we used to eat on Easter? And like
Yeah,
that
right.
sugar cane?
It's called bioplastic, right? So the box does contain some plastic. It has about 18% plastic, but it's necessary just for one part of the box that doesn't pertain to touching your water or anything else, right? So the cap is sugarcane. Obviously, the carton is cardboard. There is the box is held together by bioglue, right? In other words, plant-based glue. There is a layer of plastic between the cardboard and the aluminum, and then the kind of the biofilm on the inside that touches the water. And it's necessary just because we wanted to ensure, and we're not responsible for this. This is existing technology from a company called Tetra Pak, which is why our water has a 2-year shelf life. You can stick it in the garage for 2 years. So yes, it has plastic in it. It has aluminum in it, very thin layer of aluminum, but that's to ensure the kind of the structural stability of the box because it is cardboard, right? And you want it to, at least for as long as it can, maintain its structural integrity. So there is a little bit of plastic in there, but it's not 100% plastic like a single-use plastic bottle is. There's a little bit in it. None of it touches your water, though. None of it. It is part of kind of the body of the box, just to ensure that the box stays solid and maintains its structural integrity.
And it really is very, very strong. I mean, this has got water in it, so I want to be careful not to squeeze too
Mm.
hard. But I mean, it is really, it's really sturdy, guys. I mean, it really is. I mean, it stands up, it doesn't collapse. Like it is a really sturdy box.
Mhm.
Um, I
Well,
want
you've
to
seen
talk
it
about, oh,
before.
go ahead. Huh?
No, I was saying you've seen it before. You're familiar with Just Water, I'm sure, right? Most people are familiar with Just Water. Just Water is a box water company owned by Justin Smith.
Oh, is
um,
that I knew he had a water, but I did not know what the name of it was.
called Just Water, right? And that's
Sorry,
their
sorry,
bottled water
Jaden.
company.
Sorry,
Right,
Jaden.
right. They're bottled out of New York, out of a, they say it's spring water. Fine, fantastic, right? Um, and we're the only other company of, of our type, company of color that are doing this, and ours is, subterranean water. It's not municipal water, nor is it spring water. So you've probably seen it before. And there's another one that's in a white box that says boxed water or something like that. But the box that we use, the one we chose was one that has multiple patents and is designed to extend the life of the water, because our water is boxed in the Caribbean. The Caribbean is kind of a unique situation where they have hurricanes a lot.
Mhm.
Maybe not through the entire Caribbean, but they always do. And water is always a challenge, right? So, the governments in the Caribbean want to buy water, but they don't want to buy a whole lot of water that, in plastic that ends up being bad after, 6 months. Ours
Right.
is designed to survive 2 years in our box without changing one iota of the way the water tastes.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Mhm.
Guys, I see you putting some questions in the chat. If you can please put those in the Q&A so I don't miss them when it's time for me to read them. One last point I want to make about the water. I noticed on the box you didn't talk about or call it alkaline water, but I also noticed that the pH test 7.5, and
That's
that is
correct.
considered alkaline. Normally
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
over 7 is alkaline, but I noticed you didn't kind of tout that. I know people like alkaline water. Can you talk a little bit about that?
yeah. I didn't want to necessarily, because that's, to me, that's not the most important thing about the water. The most important thing about the water is it is in the whole chain of life when it comes to water. It's the very first thing. Alkalinity doesn't occur, in every place all over the world. In many instances, when it comes to alkaline water, it's added to the water. We
Ah,
wanted you to experience the water as Mother Earth filtered it, right? This is how it came out. We didn't add anything. We didn't change anything. This is the way the water tastes when it first becomes water. Yes, it is
yeah,
7.5, but we didn't do anything to make it that way. Mother Nature did that for us.
got it. Very, very good. Okay. All right. So I want you to get to the investment opportunity, and then I will go through the questions and we'll answer those
Sure,
questions.
sure, sure. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. So obviously, we just went through the opportunities for you to be able to buy water in the form of pallets and sell it, with the opportunity to make additional income while our little concern grows, right? But let's say that you're not interested in selling. Your desire is to be, part of the machine. You want to buy a piece of the machine, right? You want to invest in the company. Let me first begin by telling you why we invested in boxed water and why it was smart and strategic, right? Three very simple reasons. One, 100% of the world drinks water. Two, single-use plastics are being phased out by governments all over the world. And three, consumers are demanding microplastic-free options. So we're not really trying to change behaviors here. We're offering a better version of what people already consume absolutely every day. And as a water company, brands scale predictably, right? It's a volume game. The more distribution we get into, the more eyes that see us, the more people say, let me try this. I've never heard of that before. And then your water ends up scaling, it ends up growing. Maybe you've heard of a company called Liquid Death, which is an odd name for water, but that is the name of their water. And what they did is they put water in aluminum cans, almost like beer cans. They didn't invent water. What they did was, and they started in 2019, they branded it with identity, culture, and relevance. And they built a company in just a few years worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Turns out we're doing the same thing. Now, keep in mind, we aren't copying them. In fact, I was unaware of them until a couple of months ago when one of my advisors said, hey, we're kind of on the same path as this company, Liquid Death. And I'd seen the water before, but I thought it was like an energy drink. It's
And what's
not, it's
funny is
water.
that's what I'm sitting here thinking is, oh, I've seen that can before, but I thought it was energy drink. I didn't
It's
know it was water.
water.
Wow.
Right. Out of it's a artesian water out of Austria,
Hmm.
right? But I think they built a plant here as well. But they're originally out of Austria, so they're from over there, right? So we're doing the same thing, but not because we're copying them. We just happen to be, for some reason, I said this is the path we should take. Let's go ahead and imbue culture into our product. Let's give it identity and let's give it relevance, right? So the things that they did to succeed from 2019 on, we're already doing. We're doing the exact same thing. Our product is Caribbean born and built. It's kind of a cultural intersection of, say, rhythm and recovery, if you will, celebration and wellness. Our relevance is healthy, microplastic-free water in a sustainable package. And we're from this part of the world, from this hemisphere. So the market is shifting away, but we're already there. We don't have to try to penetrate the market that we're currently involved in, which is the Caribbean. Yes, we have distribution here in the United States, but our primary thrust right now is the Caribbean. And the reason for us to focus there initially, at least for the next 4 months, and I'll get into that in a moment, is because that's home for us, right? So we are a Caribbean company offering a Caribbean product to the Caribbean. And governments across the Caribbean are currently actively banning plastic. And we're the only company in this hemisphere that's pulling water from a protected subterranean aquifer in the Caribbean and selling it in microplastic-free, eco-friendly cardboard packaging. Caribbean countries are not looking for persuasion. We don't have to convince them to buy this. They're looking for logistics. They're looking for pricing, relevancy. Can you meet the volume? We're already there. That's what we've done for the past couple of years. We've invested, and it's a relative term, a significant amount of money to get to the point where all of our foundational components to the company are ready to go. We're ready to now move into the next phase, which is selling. I told you we have inventory here in the Caribbean, we have manufacturing, we have logistics, we have all those things in place. So now that you have all that, how do you separate yourself from all the other water companies, right? We're not trying to compete against the Dasani's and the Vosses of the world, or even the Just Waters of the world. You always have to be able to separate yourself if you want to be successful from everyone else, because otherwise you're just a prettier bottle with a different name and no one's going to pick you up. But we had a plan and we're executing and we're about to execute it. We've partnered up with the business manager of a global music icon. This business manager was born and raised in the Caribbean. And through this relationship, we have access to co-branded boxes, festivals and tour placements, distribution introductions. That's very important. I mentioned scaling, being able to get into distribution across the Caribbean and many islands allows us to broaden our horizons, as it were, right? More people are going to see us, more people are going to try us. That's probably the most important thing. But what it ends up doing is it ends up giving us national and international visibility without a massive ad budget. So I don't have to come up with $1 million, $2 million to try to compete against the likes of Dasani, Coke, Voss, and all these others. We've aligned ourselves up culturally with people that are already in the Caribbean. They came along and said, look, we want to push this. This is us. This is we. And so we're like, well, let's do this thing. And so we're about to elevate it because water is essential. Everyone drinks it. So when we're offering the opportunity to invest in our company, we have ties already to the region in which we're growing in. The plan is to grow there over the next 4 months, get as far afield as we can, and then come back to the United States. You have to, if you're going to enter this market, you have to come in strong, and we intend to do that. So if you decide that you want to invest in this company, you're not investing in a pitch deck. You're investing in a business that's already in motion, right? Already has logistics, marketing, production, ready to scale from a market that we were born into. The next few months, which we've calculated is going to be about 4 months for us to kind of permeate the entire Caribbean. We'll be able to come back to the United States continent with strength, which is, as I mentioned, is what you need to succeed here. And I think that 10K, you should be with us, whether you've invested with us or this is your first time here. You should invest with us before the revenue growth forces the terms to change. Because what we're doing right now is we're scaling, right? And the cost of entry outside of this presentation tonight is not cheap. But I wanted to make sure that you were some of the first folks that gave us the opportunity, that I came back home and said, look, here's the progress we've made over the years that you saw fit to invest in us. And here's an opportunity that I wanted to extend to you. Whether you want to invest in your own business or you want to be part of the machine, which is not a bad thing because the machine is on the launch pad and about to take off and the opportunity is real. So before I go into what that opportunity looks like, and it's not complicated, I want to know if you have any questions.
Yeah, so let me go to some of the questions that are in here.
Mhm.
So Anonymous, your question was, can I buy shares of the company? And we're going to talk about the investment opportunity in a moment, right? Tony says, is the 7.5 pH measured at the underground or above ground level?
Interesting question. So it comes out of our equipment 7.5. And it from the underground subterranean level where we pull it from, my assumption is it's 7.5 down there as well.
Okay.
But I'll be honest, I don't know if, they've actually dropped anything down a few thousand, feet to test it. But when it comes out of the machine, it's 7.5. And we don't have anything in the machine adding to it.
Right, adding to it. So the
Right.
assumption is it's like that when it came in. Okay.
Exactly.
Tony
I just
also
can't
says,
speak definitively on it, but go ahead.
right. Tony also says, on the subscription service, if we broker the deal with a business, do we get a website front for the business to order and work on the delivery? How does the purchasing and delivery work? Great question, Tony.
It's a good question. So it's really up to you, right? If you want to take the route of starting your own, creating your own website and selling the product, you can most certainly do that. Or you can bring them into the fold. We'll close the deal, manage the relationship, but it's your client, right? You own it. Our job is simply fulfillment at that point. But if your plan is to go beyond, say, your relationships and try to build a broader kind of coalition of people getting white labels or whatever, then that's completely up to you. Absolutely. We're here to support entrepreneurs.
Very good. I love it. I love it. All right. Anonymous says, what gas does the water pass through when being extracted as part of the, I don't know if that's trying to say bacteria or whatever, control?
Can't share, that's company confidential, but I can tell you we're FDA registered, so we're good, right? So, but certain things I just can't share.
Okay. Patrice says, I ordered a case. The bottle has a lip on the spout. The lip makes it difficult to get the last drop. Can that be fixed to get easily all the water?
Yeah, so all of the
The
future
bottle?
boxes won't have that lip.
So is this what, so Patrice, so
Right.
here's the,
So we did that because again, we're a Caribbean company and we're trying to reduce the level of pollution, beaches and, in the Caribbean. So we wanted to make sure that the cap stayed attached to the bottle, right? So and here's the thing, because it's a folded box, right? It's folded by the machine. There might be a little tiny bit, maybe 3 or 4 drops stuck down in, and you'll hear it when you shake it. You're like, "Where's my water?" Right? It's not a large amount of water, but it's natural, because what we are not is a kind of a bottle where you can see every drop in there, and you can turn it up and get every drop out. We have folds, and because cardboard is manufactured or molded, if you will, differently than single-use plastic. There are going to be a couple of crevices where just a few drops are going to be kept, but it's not going to be anything significant. You're not the first person to ask that question. We've had people send us videos like, "I can hear water in here. Where's my water?" Right? And can't do anything about the fact unless you just want to pop open the bottom and drain it. It's there, but it's kind of the cost of doing business, if you will. We're going to take a couple of drops to keep for ourselves.
very good. Let's see. Anne said $15 per case. How many bottles in a case?
15. And it's not bottles, it's cartons.
Cartons, right?
I take offense at that. It's cartons. I
Um,
actually took a minute for me to change my lexicon as well. So
are there any entities hands off to sell to? Are there any entities hands off to sell to?
I think I understand what they're asking.
Okay.
The question is, if that relationship is yours to close and you can close it, you're good. So other than kind of locations that are forbidden, countries, etc., then you're good. You can sell it to whomever you want. Everyone on this planet drinks water, no matter what you're calling.
Okay. Anonymous says, so the box is not recyclable with plastic and aluminum in the box.
Not 100%, but 80% recyclable. Right. The technology for cartons isn't to the point where it could be carton only, because if we didn't have the aluminum inside, then you could crush it very easily. Right. And it comes shipped in pallets stacked up, 10 high. We don't want the water to be crushed. So it's much more recyclable than single-use plastic, or even aluminum for that matter. And it has a much lower carbon footprint. It costs less energy to make.
Okay. Tony says, if the box is heated in a car or garage, can the plastic leach into the water?
No. But what it will do is unfold. Because remember, it's bio glue, right? So this plant-based glue. If you leave it in your car and it's 90% humidity, if you have a high humid, environment, it's going to cause, I could pull this apart with some effort, but it's going to cause it to pop open. So my recommendation is don't leave it in high humid areas. You could sit it in your garage and leave it in there for years as long as it's like 90% humidity. I used to live in Miami and it's 90% humidity down there and 95. You do have to, it doesn't require chilling, but it does require an environment that isn't extreme.
Okay. And I will, so that's another good point. So I have not put mine in the refrigerator. I typically like my water really cold, but for some reason, I don't know, I've just been grabbing these out of the box
Same
and
here.
drinking it, and it's still refreshing even though it's not cold, which is kind of weird like to
It
me
is, isn't it?
because I drink cold water, but it's
Right.
been really refreshing and
Mhm.
kind of cool even though it's just sitting in the kitchen, stacked up with the cases stacked up on each other, and the kitchen is, the air conditioner's on, but it's not a cold house at all. But I just thought that was weird.
That's interesting. Uh, Only because of my water do I now drink water at room temperature. I didn't do that before. I liked my water cold, right? I felt it was the best thing, but this water is awesome, but it's even more fantastic when it's cold. Now, you can't freeze it, right? Because it's ice, right? It's going to push it out and pop things open. You can't freeze this water. Even when we do events, we just did Carnival in St. Thomas, and we have these giant kind of ice chests on wheels full of ice. And we didn't have any problems. But if you freeze them, they're going to blow up like anything that you freeze. You put in a can of soda, it's going to blow up. We're no different, right? But you can certainly drink this at room temperature. And actually, it's healthier for you, to be honest. Cold water has a tendency to shock the system. And from a health standpoint, like try to drink it as close as you can. But people like what they like. Half the people in the Caribbean ordered cold, the other half ordered, room temperature.
Hmm.
We're okay, and I think we're good either way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll let you guys know how it is really cold because I haven't had to put it in there yet. Ronnie says, is it available in Texas? Only if you start selling it, Ronnie.
Oh, I love you. I love you. Thank you. But yes, it can be, right? You can order from our website. Of course, we drop ship. We're one of the things that I'm looking for are people to open up markets, right? My job is to grow the company. Yes, we're going to get into retail. And yes, we're into wholesale. But if you believe that you can open up a market, if, for instance, your first cousin is general manager of Fresh Market and you can get it in there, talk to me. Let's make it happen. Because if you can get it in someplace that we can't, that's going to be yours. It's as simple as that. I'm in the business of putting fellow entrepreneurs in business.
Very good. Roland said, can we come and see the operation in the islands?
Absolutely. You'd have to come to the Dominican Republic. We're about 20 miles este outside of Santo Domingo. Absolutely. It's over where the baseball fields are for all the MLB teams. You
Mhm.
absolutely can. And 5 times last year with investors that wanted to see the plant, because we're tactile, right? Because things online are vaporware, and people can make anything look real. And with the ascension of AI, everything looks real.
Thing looks
But
real.
no, we have videos, and I don't know if you've seen any of them of the actual operation, but absolutely, you're open to. And even if you want to make it without me, that's fine. Just let me know you're heading out there, and I'll alert them, and they will welcome you.
Very nice. Anne says for fundraising, is there an order site? So is that the same socashores.com site?
It's not so much an order site. My recommendation is that you email me. I have a PDF that I'd like to upload that talks about the company, the things I've discussed today, as well as the investment opportunity. You could just send me an email.
And if you shoot the PDF over to Talisha and I, we
I will
will,
do that.
when we
I'll
do
do
the
that.
replay, we'll attach it.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Again, my job is to put you in business because I think what we have here is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And it's not one of those things that you keep to yourself. We have big plans, as I mentioned, to roll out globally. We expect fully to be one of the major players in the Caribbean in over the next 4 months. And by year's end, we expect to be rolling out both the United States and Africa because our contacts extend at a very high level in both places.
Very good. And for those of you who joined the live based on the Facebook link, if you want to make sure you get the replay and this attachment, please go ahead and sign up for our newsletter on the 10kproject.com. You'll see a newsletter pop-up box. If you put your name and your email address there, you'll get the replay of this session and some of our other sessions that we host that are for participants, but not paid community members. So if you want the mailing list, you can join that. Let's see. Do you account for microplastics?
Of course, 100% microplastic free, not just because we're from thousands of feet below the surface, but we actually have certification. We're certified independent lab. We didn't make that claim. We sent it off. We didn't even have to cross our fingers because unless there's some monster at 4,000 feet drinking single-use plastic, we already knew.
I will say you did a really good job of because I was like, oh yeah, that says it on the box somewhere. I remember reading that. You did a really good job on the packaging, explaining the benefit of just kind of the water itself, like and how safe it is and plastic free and all of that stuff. Like you did a really good job of that on the
Thank you.
label. So good and good design too. I mean, it's a very
Thank
nice
you. Thank
design.
you. Well, you know, that's good to hear coming from one fellow owner,
You
right?
are correct. I am an investor.
Of
You are
course I am,
correct.
right?
On
But
the
make no
first round,
mistake,
on the first round.
that's right. Absolutely.
3 years ago. So
And
this is nice when those of us in the community that invested 3 years ago, we get to come back around and actually see the product, right? We get to see it and touch it and taste it. Like this is a big deal for investors in that first and second round. So thank you for coming back to us and giving us, not just the opportunity to invest again, but to get the update. So many founders, I think, fail at that part, right? They're doing the hard work off to the side, they're building the company, but they never circle back around to let you know, hey, we're still here, we're still working hard on your behalf. And so thank you for always connecting and keeping in touch and posting in the Facebook group when you got something cool to tell us. Like you do a very good job of that. And those are the founders that we remember. Right.
right.
Those are the ones that stay in the forefront of our mind so that when the business has opportunities like this, we're paying attention and we're telling our friends, right? And so thank you for that.
I think you know, and again, as you know, we've been together now for a few years. You're really going to be pleased this time next year. We do have an exit strategy, and it's one of the reasons why you get into a company at an early stage, right? Um, the entry fee at this point is not cheap. It isn't, and the checks are not small. But it was important for me to come back home and say, "Hey, folks, hey, family, you in? If you're not in, but you were thinking about getting in, you feel you missed the opportunity, get in now." I can't make any commitments or promises because, as you know, in this business, we can't guarantee or promise anything. But I can tell you this: um, we have held true to our course, and we didn't start off with this, as you know. And this here is 2.5 years, ago. And it is the thing that kind of came forward and said, look, we spent a lot of time talking to powers that be in the Caribbean. They're like, we're moving away from that. Are you in a position to do something? We're like, oh yeah. So I'm saying to you right now, this is you don't really want to be that person that sees it go by and go, why didn't I get in? Right. And so by the time we take off, it's going to be, did you watch it happen? Or did you participate? And it's not a heavy lift. I personally think that everyone should be a part of this. It's not because we need the money. It's because I want to help you do the business that you're doing right now, which is investing in real opportunity. We're we're a Series A right now, which isn't a small level, and we're about to do some what we think pretty decent sized things. We want you along with us for the ride, the rest of the rides. Again, some of you are already here. Bravo. Anybody that isn't in here, I would seriously consider it. And it's not because I'm the guy that's, behind the steering wheel. I would seriously consider it. We're having a fantastic time and the future is bright. And we'd love to have you join us.
All right, we've got a few more questions. You
Sure,
guys
sure.
like water. I love it. Roland says, when I was in the US Army, my first job was water purification. That had to be pretty cool. Anonymous says, are you scheduled to repay your June 2023 promissory note?
That is going to be when we do the conversion event, and that particular promissory note is really, it's based upon us reaching a particular investment benchmark, which we will be hitting this year, and then we convert, and then you end up having actual shares, right? All companies, startup companies, start off with either safes or convertible notes to be able to. You're loaning us money in order for us to get from here to there. Um, when we reach that particular threshold, we do the conversion, and then it becomes real. Not to say that it's not, but it becomes real equity at that point. I don't have a date certain, but I can tell you more than likely it'll be this year.
Very good. Cass says, what are the quantity options? So the case has 18 in the case, right?
That is correct.
And you can
Oh,
buy
and that,
as many
okay.
cases, 18, 16.9 bottles.
Right. So one case is 18 cartons. One pallet is 104
And
cases.
bottles. I said bottled again.
I know, it's okay. It's okay. So you buy a case, you buy one of these. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this? That has 18 in it. There are 104 of these on a pallet.
That
The
box looks smaller than the ones I have.
let's, let's see. Here, young lady. Right on that.
Oh, that box is much smaller than the box that got delivered to me.
Actually, it's not. Same size.
Hmm.
Did yours come with her on it?
No,
No, yours said agua, didn't it?
mine said agua.
Exact. Same size box.
Hmm.
Same
Okay.
size box. Yeah. Same box. There are only, I can crack it open. There are only 18 cartons. It's all robotic, right? We don't have any, the boxes are touched at the very beginning when the spool is put on, and at the very end, once the robotic arm sets it aside. And we don't have to change this. This is the branded box for the Carnival Dancer. We have one coming out, of course, for the Raindrop as well.
Mhm.
And we have a couple that are white labels that, so yeah, that's the box. So there's 18 inside of that. There's 104 of those on a pallet. And there are two containers. One has 21 pallets, one has 10 pallets. And we can produce anything. As I mentioned, we have a couple million per week capacity, and we're about to stretch the limits of that.
Okay. Gayton, I hope I'm saying your name right. I apologize if I'm not. How does the relabeling process work? And what's the shelf life? Shelf life's 2 years. Yeah,
So when you say
2 year shelf life.
relabeling, I'm assuming he's referring to white label,
I believe
right?
so.
So the process is you submit to us a design, takes approximately 2 weeks to get it approved, because it's not a simple matter of that you submit a design and we go with it. It has to go through attorneys, et cetera. They come back and say, nothing's being said on there that can't be said. And in 2 weeks, you get your own carton back, right? You get 4 of these. They're empty, but they're fully realized boxes. Fully realized boxes. You approve it, then it takes 45 days from that moment for that spool that I mentioned to arrive at the factory. And then the water could be produced in 2 days.
Very nice. Sarah says, will previous investors be receiving a formal update on the commercial/purification side of the business?
I'm not understanding the question.
Yeah, me neither, Sarah. Can you reword that or rephrase it? Cass says, at most water distribution companies, pallets sit outside in the sun. You said there's minimal plastic used, which is great. However, who is the water who is the water stored until, or how is the water stored until it's delivered?
Right. So I'm not familiar with water sitting outside. I think it sits outside before it's bought inside. Ours simply requires shade. It doesn't require chilling. Um, if people are leaving, pallets of water outside, boy, you're drinking plastic and not drinking water. The distributors that we deal with, they have warehouses. Distributors generally do, because they're not shipping one product, they're shipping multiple products. So they make the space in their warehouse, they bring it in, and they set it off into a corner someplace, and that's where it sits. So it's generally not in the sun. But I will say this, our product, again, has a 2 year shelf life and is designed to last 2 years, as long as it's not in a high humidity environment. We're not talking about high temperature, but if you're 100 degrees, that's obviously kind of high.
Mm-hmm. So Sarah asked, does the labeling say do not freeze anywhere? And I don't see that, although it does say
Say
store in a
that.
clean,
It
cool, and
doesn't say
dry
that.
place.
It doesn't say that. And the only reason we didn't put it on, to be candid, is because I don't think any bottle says that. right? And I'm not saying we're not doing it because, but if you buy a single-use plastic or a single-use can and you put it in the freezer, you know it's going to happen, right? But I mean, you could certainly do it. Ours doesn't burst. It just kind of expands, right? It
Right.
just kind of
So
expands.
probably won't be able to stand it up because the glue
That's right.
will burst
That's
apart.
right.
Right.
Right. It'd be like this Weeble from back in the day.
They wobble, but they don't fall
They don't
down.
fall down. Well, it's the opposite of a Weeble, right? They fall down and they won't wobble. Yeah.
Right. Um, Tony says, just to clarify on my last question about the US manufacturer being Black owned, so Caribbean Water Technology owns the plant in the US or outsources the manufacturing here to someone else.
We do not own the plant. We do what most companies do, what's called demand manufacturing, right? There are people all over the world that build manufacturing plants to produce products for people like myself. So they're, we go in and say, we need this produced. Now, we did a lot of shopping around before we found out exactly what we were looking for. Um, Flying around to different plants is one thing. Um, Paying to get in the door is something different, right? So we use demand manufacturing. It doesn't make sense to reinvent the wheel. The plant that produces our water is located in the Dominican Republic. The box which our water comes in is Tetra Pak. They own the global patent on these sort of things. So it's a situation where we simply looked at it and said, we could take this fantastic product over here. We could put it in that packaging right there. We just need to find someone who can do it. So we don't own the plant. We don't own everything else though.
Very good. Wayne says, I purchased a case this morning and the total was $32. Where did the increase come from? So you've got a sale now where it's $22 for the case. I imagine was the other $10 shipping?
You can cancel it and reorder. It's $22. So we dropped the price down today.
Yeah, because the email came out this morning, I think, or early
Yes, it
this
did. It
afternoon.
did this morning.
So it's $22 free shipping today
That's it for 10 days.
for 10 days. You heard that, Wayne? Cancel that order,
That's
reorder.
right. Cancel,
You can
reorder.
get you 2 cases.
That's right. Exactly.
That's what's up. Oh, I need to re-up then, no shipping. I pay shipping on my order, y'all. I didn't catch the sale.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tony says, is there an exit strategy for Soka Shores?
There is.
Any plan to sell to another company once it gets really big?
If someone makes me an offer I can't refuse, then I won't refuse it, right? But it's certainly not going to be someone coming up offering something that I would consider an insult, right? Because at the end of the day, I have a fiduciary responsibility to you, the investors, to grow this into something. And you're not investing so that you can get a $50,000 check back. You're investing because you want much more. Um, my goal here is to grow this into a substantial entity, right? I mentioned before, we're one of really only 2 companies of color that do this, right? And I think the blessing for us is that we are in a region where culture is important. We all want to go to the Caribbean. Caribbean culture is fantastic, right? The product is Caribbean. The company is Caribbean. We have something that no other water company has. We are one of only 2 really that produce on scale water bottling plants in the Caribbean. The only other one is Desani, owned by Coke. It's in plastic and it's municipal water. And most of the people in the Caribbean, hope no one else is listening, hate it. They hate
Which
it.
one is that?
Desani in the Caribbean.
It's horrible. It's
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah.
It's a
So
salty mess.
we don't really have quote unquote competition. The goal here is to grow this company. And yes, we have an exit strategy. It's either going to be an IPO or it's going to be an acquisition, and it's going to occur, let's just say, in very short order. My goal was not to start the company to sell it. That was not my goal. My goal was to start the company, grow it into a viable global company, which we have the opportunity to do now. I don't have to compete at a level where I have to outspend the likes of, Fiji and Voss and all of those. We actually have a built-in benefit because we are in a place where the people there can truly appreciate what we're doing there.
Very good. So Sarah says, oh no, Sarah, hold on, let me scroll down and see. Sarah, did you give me clarification on your earlier note? Sarah's question is, the last quarterly report I received was January 24, following the first investment opportunity for Soka Shores. Maybe
Mhm.
I'm not on the list anymore, but I haven't received anything since.
Send me an email, but we send out
Yeah,
reports
because we got,
every quarter.
yeah, we got something since then.
Yeah, yeah, we send them out every quarter. So apologies for that.
Okay. Y'all ain't playing with this opportunity. I'm loving this. The questions are keep coming. We're gonna get to the actual investment opportunity in a minute. Do you have a promotional packet so pitches can be made to potential customers?
Absolutely. Remember, when I talked about the 5 different ways of selling, we did that because we've been doing it, right? I wanted to know every possible way. Yeah, so that should tell you that I'm not just thinking about the growth of the company, I'm thinking about you, right? Yes, it's okay to want money on the back end, but what about today in this economic climate? It can't hurt to make additional money. It can't. And I walk around my neighborhood and offer water up, people are going to buy it, right? This is an opportunity where you, as an investor, or even not as an investor, can generate income off of something that, at a minimum, people are going to be curious about. So the opportunity is real. I'm here to support. I'm here to support. You just tell me what you want, and part of the document I'll upload will allow you to contact me directly, and we can work through these things. I have I'm not going to be blessed with traveling the Caribbean over the next 4 months. I actually have people, the aforementioned, not mentioned, person tied to the global artists, as well as other people that are better positioned because I'm from Atlanta and Ohio. I'm not from the Caribbean. Yes, the company is Caribbean based, but I'm not from there. And the people that are tied to my company from there they've got that. So I'm going to let them do that. And I'm going to focus on you. I'm here to support your growth. And so you'll be able to generate income between now and whenever that significant event occurs. And prayerfully that you will have invested some money in it as well so that you can also receive a nice little payday.
Okay. And I'm going to come back to your question because he hasn't told us the investment opportunity yet. We were reading all the questions. Patrice says, how is the home/commercial purification division of the business doing? Or have you
Ah,
shifted your focus to the boxed water?
no, no, no. So we haven't left that. It's operating currently in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Um, this kind of overtook it. We didn't move away from it. And the reason I say that is because when we started doing the home purification, if you recall, it had AI technology built into it. And after a period of like a year and a half, one of the locations we had it installed in was a NASA lab. And they called us up and said, your device is actually predicting contaminants in water before the contaminants actually appear. So this is AI technology. It's all the rave now, but we've been doing it for a second. And so what we did do is we pivoted and said, okay, so maybe we don't do so much, purification for your home or for your business. Maybe we take this AI technology, not because it's popular today, but because we got calls from NASA, we got calls from the Department of Defense, we got calls from the NOAA, the weather people, and they're like, this is interesting stuff. So the goal of an entrepreneur is to grow their company. And sometimes, in fact, most of the time, the company will tell you which way it wants to grow. And you have to be open to that. You could stiff arm it and say, we're going that way. That's not the entrepreneur that I am. If the business comes to me and said we should go that way, as long as it makes sense, I'm going to. So I never left the water purification component aspect of the company. We still have purifiers and water vending machines and an ice machine down there. But an aspect of that, which is the intelligence part of it, has taken on a life of its own, and people are more interested in that than they are the other part. So what we're talking about here is you talk about. Let's give you an example. Let's say Africa. They built tons of wells in Africa, which fail within 3 years. All of the 90% of the wells that they build in Africa fail within the first 3 years because the aquifer gets polluted. Now, just imagine if you had a device that could not only monitor that water quality, but and predict when it was going to change. I don't care if it's, from a heavy metal standpoint, a chemical standpoint, bacteriological standpoint, but it could predict it. Now you're able to go back and say, hey, you're going to have problems with this water. And oh, by the way, look around here geographically and see if any plants are doing this sort of thing. So that technology is going to give insight as to whether or not the water is on its way down and help direct the kind of the authorities on what the source is so we can address it. So we haven't stepped away from it. We've pivoted a bit, because part of our technology was not just purifying water, but finding out why water becomes impure. And that part of the technology is drawing attention. Hopefully that's a good answer.
It was thorough. David said, I
I have
love
a tendency of staying in the weeds.
it too, but that's okay. David said, I love this water and look forward to growing with you. And then David also said, are there any potential interests outside of the US and Caribbean countries looking to be serviced? I know you mentioned Africa as a continent. Are you looking at any specific countries within the continent?
Within the diaspora, well, again, I cannot name the global artists, but let's just say that sky's the limit. We'll say that. So
Okay.
yes, and I'm not saying we're moving from the Caribbean to Africa. We're moving from the Caribbean here, and we may do Africa simultaneously. It all depends on kind of the institutional investors that we're trying to bring on board. The opportunity is real, and it's right there. We actually have an entree, literally, into the African culture that you can't buy. You just can't buy it. And we didn't actively go out, trying to recruit anybody. They came out and said, what you're doing is important. Can we help? And we're like, really? Okay, yeah, come and help. And so we're blessed. I don't know how it happens other than hustle and hard work.
Mhm.
Somehow it happens. So yes, we next stop after the next 4 months of the Caribbean is the United States and quite possibly simultaneously Africa.
Very
The
good.
diaspora. Obviously, not every
Right,
country in
right. Not
Africa.
every country.
We'll
Right. Not
pick and
yet.
choose the ones. Right. One thing at a time, right? I don't want this to sound aspirational, because these are conversations which are
It's
actively
really
going on at this moment.
Yeah, very good point. Sylvia says that she drinks is that ozoned alkaline water? Sylvia, is that what that's saying? She's got a filtration system at home, portable machine. And so she says she doesn't drink cartons or plastic bottles. How does your water brand differ? So if you can explain again for anyone who came a little late, the subterranean part
Right.
of this story.
Right. So I understand the use of ozone when it comes to, like, drinking it to kind of get rid of free radicals in your body, et cetera, et cetera. We're not reinventing anything here. We're simply water pushes through mountainsides and land masses, and it pools up and makes its way up. We didn't try to reinvent the wheel. We simply put a long straw down there and pulled it up, and it comes up like it comes up, right? The pH it is the pH it is. The taste it has is the taste it has. We don't enhance it in any way. We're not adding effervescence. We're not adding flavors. We're like, this is what we found down there. If you like it, you're going to drink it. So a lot of the waters out there, when they, and don't get me wrong, when the thing she's talking about, it has its benefits. We don't want to get into the business of trying to divine for somebody what's best for them. We're
Mhm.
like, we present it. If you like it, yeah. If you don't like it, that's okay. No harm, no foul. But we defy you to find something as fantastic as this.
Okay. Anne said, or no, Sarah said, just to be clear, the Soca water operations are based in the DR and the water purification business is based in the US Virgin Islands.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Anne said, I had to step away for a second. How much to, oh, we didn't talk about the investment yet. I'll get back to that, Anne. David says, there are vibes in every sip. And this is water when it first becomes water. That's a good way to say it, David. Oh my goodness, that's a great way to say it because when
I
you
like
drink
that.
it, I love like there should be you got to find room on the bottle for that and give David some credit and pay him a little
Thank you,
royalty.
David.
Um, it when you drink it, I've been because I'm a water drinker and I've got my faves, right? But
Right.
when I started drinking this, and I got mine maybe it's been 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks
Mhm.
ago. When I started drinking, the first time I tasted it, I was like, because some waters taste like something. And I know that's kind of a
Right.
weird statement too. And
No, no, it's
I
true
prefer
too.
I prefer waters that don't taste like something. So I was kind of, you put it in your mouth and I'm looking for the taste, like what does it taste like? And I'm like, it doesn't taste like a thing. It's more like a feeling. And I couldn't articulate it, but David, that's it. It's a vibe. Like, and it's really, really good. Um, and I didn't know about the subterranean, right? I just like, okay, put some good water in here. And like I told you, I thought you used the filtration system to create it. So I didn't know about the big straw down in the ocean. And so I just kept thinking, this is just really, really good and crisp. But then it has like this clean taste. I don't want to say flavor because it's not flavored, but a clean taste. But then it does a little something magical in your mouth. Like it's really, really weird. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to explain it. You guys just, and I'm not trying to push the water, like, but it's really good. And to get what I'm saying, you gotta figure it out. Well, I am trying to push it because I'm an investor, right?
I need that clip. I need that clip. Let me say this, and this is one of the things that I feel about it. Any water that you could drink at room temperature, which you're like not going to, is a win. It's a win.
And like I told you, it's kind of cool in the carton,
yeah.
even. So it's not warm. It's cool in the, it just can't, you really do have to try it in order to determine. And people are funny because there's some, we talked about that other brand a moment ago and most of us said ill, but there are people who love it, right? So you really do
in case they're watching, I'm not dogging y'all. A lot of people in the Caribbean just don't like it.
And you really do need to taste it for yourself. And I would love for anyone else who tastes it to let me know what you think about it, like for real, and how you describe it. Because I am struggling to describe it other than to tell you it really is delicious, but it does something special. So I don't know what's happening down in the ocean, but it's magical.
Right. This is like the starting point, right? As David said, this is water when it first becomes water. After that, it becomes other things, right? Even if it's spring water. Spring water is water that springs up out of the ground, which means it started somewhere else. It may have come down from the rain. I don't know. But the point is, this is at the beginning before, people get their hands on it. We'll just use that phrase.
Right.
That's what this is. So, and that might be it, because I'm going to go out on a limb and say that, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, God, they know what they're doing much better than we do.
Always.
I've had wonderful get out and go for coffee in the morning, and the sun has painted the lawn in the neighborhood, and you're like, man, what a great artist, right? So it just doesn't extend to beautiful trees and foliage and things like that. It extends to other things, and in this case, it's water. It does so much better than anything we can do. And we're not trying to change anybody's habits. We're just simply offering a better version of what everyone consumes anyway. And that's a beautiful thing from a business standpoint. If you decide to sell the water, you're selling something that everyone drinks, right? We're not offering, argyle socks or rubber bands. You're drinking something that 100% of the plants and animals on this planet consume.
Yeah.
And so why not, treat yourself to something that, isn't going to diminish who you are. And that's how I look at it. Now that I can drink this, I don't have to think about if I'm drinking plastic, or I don't have to think about, if I'm supporting some company that's doing something I don't like. This is just water. It's just water, and it is original. I didn't pull it from the top of the glass. We pulled it from the bottom of the glass when it first became water.
Yeah,
I'm stealing from you, David.
Well, when Nimon reached out and, said, hey, we've got some great things happening and I want to talk to the community about it. And he said, do you think the community would be receptive to a business opportunity, not just an investment opportunity? And I was like, heck yeah. I mean, think about the state of the union that we're in, right? Think about the economy. Think about, all the government workers that jobs were just lost and some still at risk. Like, I'm like, I absolutely think they would be interested in this.
Right.
And from the, looks of things and the questions you guys have asked, I was absolutely right. And so from a business opportunity, we've heard about all of the ways that you can make money from Soka Shore's water. And we will, with the replay that we send out, we will include a PDF that lists all of that and some specifics around it so that you can have it. So if you are not on the mailing list for the 10K project yet, the10kproject.com, a pop-up box will pop up. You will put your name and your email address, and you will make the newsletter, which is the mailing list that we use to send out the replays. So if you want tonight's replay and you are not already a paid 10K Project member, then you want to do that so that you can get the replay and the PDF. But The other wonderful thing that we talked about was there's going to be another investment opportunity. And so now I'd love for you, Nimon, to give us the specifics of that, so that anyone who was in on the first round, first and second round, also wants in on the third round, or if somebody's just seeing us for the first time and they're like, how the heck did I miss this? And thank goodness I'm getting an opportunity now to do it for the first time. Tell
Right.
us what the investment opportunity is.
Right. It's actually pretty simple. This is probably the shortest speech, right? So we're not doing a crowdfunding campaign, which is how we met initially. But we are still capable, and because we're a private company and we're still certified with the SEC, we can still extend the opportunity for people to invest. So you'll be investing in what's called a convertible note. We had a choice between that and the safe. We chose the convertible note because it's a better vehicle for us. And essentially what that is you are essentially loaning us money. In return, we're going to give you the opportunity at a later date when we convert, to have more money than you loaned us to reinvest and get equity in the company, right? So I wanted to make it as simple as possible. I'm like, hey, let's just give them an opportunity to get in. And this is something I've never done. So this is different, right? So we are in the process now for the next 10 days of extending what we call a multiplier, right? Meaning you invest X, we're going to give you. So as an example, the rates that we've set up are, if you're going to invest between $2,000 and $10,000, we're going to double your investment. It's as simple as that. If you want a piece of this company, if you want to buy into the machine, then, we'll provide you with a convertible note, which is, legally binding for us. If you invest between $2,000 and $9,998, we'll double that. So your 2 becomes 4, your 10 becomes 20. If you invest over 10,000, which if you're going to invest $9,999, you might as well go ahead and spend that extra dollar, then we're going to triple it. That means if you put 10,000 in, it's going to be worth $30,000. And we're only doing that with 10K. And we're only doing that for the next 10 days, right? So this is your opportunity. If you ever wanted to get into anything and you're tired of sitting on the sidelines and you wanted to make investments, but you had some level of trepidation because you don't know how it's going to go. And I can make no guarantees either. I can only tell you that we're still here and we're still growing. And the opportunity is real. It's absolutely real, but that's the extent of what I can say. I can tell you how much you're going to make. I can guarantee nothing, but I can tell you that the opportunity at this juncture, which is really kind of the last opportunity, because as I stated, we're at a Series A level at this point. The checks are a minimum of $50,000. But for the next 10 days with 10K, you can invest as little as $2,000 and up. If you're going to invest between $2,000 and $10,000, we'll double your investment. The convertible note will be accordingly. 10 and up, we'll triple it. And it's really that simple. Just get in the game, get in where you fit in, get in how you get in. I'm going to support you. So this, of course, just so you understand, is back-end money, right? This isn't the selling of pallets. This isn't white labels. This is one of the reasons that I'm kind of the head of the company, is to get it to a point where somebody walks in and makes an offer that we can't refuse, in which case I will negotiate on your behalf to ensure that the company gets absolutely everything that it can get, so that the money you've invested, the faith you've invested in me and this company is rewarded by the very reason you invest, the opportunity to win, right? And we all know at least 50% of all companies that people invest in fail. We happen to be blessed to still be around because we're providing something with culture and purpose that everyone drinks. So the offer is very simple.
So I've got
Convertible
a
note,
couple of questions.
go for it.
So I want to make sure I understand. Convertible note works.
All right.
I loan you money today. What's the term? What's the term? 2 years, 3 years? What's the term?
It's going to be like 20%. It's traditional. It'll all be in the notes that I send out, the actual breakout. It's,
Okay.
20% discount, 5% interest, that sort of thing. And
Okay.
I'm assuming, and wrongly, I'm sure that everybody knows what the terms are because this is what you do. But I also want to
But
spell it
everyone,
out.
some people here may be new, right?
Absolutely.
They may not be
Absolutely. And I'm going to
Providing for
spell
them
it
now.
out in the document. I'm going to spell it out in the document. And it's going to be in very plain English. They're going to understand it. I promise you. Oh, okay. This is what this money is going to be used for. And this is what I get in return when the event, the conversion event, which is the conversion event
That
is
was
the
my next
event
question.
where we've set a threshold, for instance. So we're saying we have to raise a certain amount of money. And when we reach that level, your investment now becomes equity, right? And some of you have been with us for a few years, right? And
Is
that
that where you're
threshold.
tripling? So that was my question. My question is at the conversion event. So I give you 10,000. My conversion note says that I gave you 10, but it at the end of the term, I typically get a choice with a convertible note. I can cash out because I don't want your equity, or I can let it ride because I do, right? And at the state of conversion, is that where you triple it and I get 30,000 worth of whatever the shares are going to be?
No, no.
How's it going to work?
You almost got it right, and you very, very close. No, you give me $10,000, your convertible note's going to say $30,000.
Interesting. That wow.
We're a private company.
What like my mind, like you
We
just
can
exploded
look.
my brain.
I've already cleared it with the
Wow.
powers that be that look over my shoulder. Absolutely. So I'm not expecting you to keep, to trust me and say, when the time comes, give me my no. You invest $2,000 when you receive your convertible note via DocuSign. It's going to be double. It's going to be 4,000. You invest ten
That
thousand
is
dollars,
extremely
it's going to
generous.
be $30,000.
Wowzers.
So you're going to actually have the legal documentation in your hand. So it's not a question of waiting for when this occurs. This is, for me, there's nothing as inspirational as progress, right? Nothing as inspirational as progress. If you could, have something in your hand that, as you know, DocuSigns are legally binding documents. We're
Mhm.
certified with the SEC. All of that paperwork's done. But I want to incentivize us because we don't invest, but 10K does, right? And I shouldn't say that. I'm not trying to throw a broad blanket out there. I'm saying I want to make it as easy as possible, for people that are thinking about it but are on the fence about it. This isn't about, Caribbean Water Technologies, needing $3,000. We're doing what we do. This is, hey, if you thought about it and you were afraid to do it, we're so far along that there's a very good possibility we may succeed. And again, you see how cautious I'm being here? I'm not
Absolutely.
making any guarantees, and
Okay.
that needs to be
Cannot make any
absolutely clear.
guarantees, right? And we are not endorsing any guarantees that he's
Right,
not making. So just
right.
right,
I like that.
right,
Right, right,
right. The
right.
SEC will
Exactly.
not be knocking on this door.
No,
No
no, no.
guarantees are being made on this show.
What we're saying is that if and when you invest, the convertible note you receive will reflect the multiple that we
Multiple.
just discussed,
That's
and
right.
we'll upload the document. You can check it out, and you decide where you want to be. I am a driven individual. I fully expect this company to make it, but things pop up, things don't work out, but I have to admit I'm kind of excited. Again, this is my third year. Like I said, this is my third time here,
Yes,
and
third. Yeah,
and
this is
each time I feel that from a trajectory standpoint, we're only going up.
yeah. No,
And
for
we're
sure, for sure.
yeah.
Each time you've come here to the 10K project, there
Mhm,
have been like the amount of work you've put in
mhm.
and the progress you've made over the course of the three, and we've been able to see it, right? That's the other
Yep.
thing I said
It's important.
about you being here and kind of staying in touch with the community. We've seen the growth. It's not like you
Mhm.
popped up 3 years ago and now you're popping up and it's like, oh, surprise. Like you've taken us through the journey at every roadmap item. I feel like you've taken us along with you. And so we're seeing the progress, but it's backed by work. And
Absolutely.
so to be able to see that in real time as it's happening is pretty awesome. And again, not investment advice, but we all learned how to multiply in elementary school. And anytime you give somebody 3 times more than they gave you, I don't
Right.
know about you, but my mama used to say that's a good deal, right?
Yeah. I
So
think so. I think so. And again, this is me giving back. It really is. Because you were there for me early on. And we're making our way down the road. And I'm not mad at where we're at. I'm not mad at all. And
this
I
is
think that
wonderful.
the news, and I'm not saying that the reports will come out more frequently, but I can tell you that the next report, I might even come back on. Right. If for no other reason than just to tell you to your face where we're at. But we've been working on these plans for a minute, and we're pretty excited about it.
Very good. Anonymous. Anonymous says, is it possible to obtain a sample for review? Yes, you
No
can go to
samples.
focusshores.com and you can pay
Right.
$20 for your sample.
We're no longer at that place, right? Now, if you'd
Um,
asked us 3 years ago, maybe, right?
Tony said the double/triple matching is great. I do want to ask again to understand risk. Is there a mitigation plan for Soka Shores with potential tariffs? And is there a mitigation plan if the current manufacturer goes under? Great question, Tony.
Okay, so a couple things. The current manufacturer is the global leader. They're number one in doing this. So good chance somebody else will go under, but the global manufacturer has plants all over the world, right? Uh, Tariff question, great question. We're impacted at zero because the tariffs have not changed between the Dominican Republic and the United States. They are the same. It's already been factored into our pricing.
And the packaging, nothing comes from China. Not the plastic, not the nothing, none
Nothing
of this,
comes from
not the
China.
sugar cane, nothing. Okay.
There's not one thing made in China anywhere.
Nice. And Mexico need, right? Because Mexico was affected by tariff. Nothing Mexico either.
No, okay, well, no, it's not true. Okay, so the boxes themselves are printed in Mexico.
Okay.
But here's the catch. Mexico is not sending the boxes to the United States. Mexico
Ah,
is sending the boxes to the Dominican
the
Republic.
Dominican Republic.
So zero,
Very good. Very,
we
very
haven't seen
good.
an increase, a price increase. I would say that.
All right. I think that's all of the questions. Anne asks how long is the investment opportunity? So
10 days.
10 days with this opportunity, and in the replay email, and you're going to get the sheet with all of the terms and all of that stuff. When will this video be sent out? I would love to clip it up. David, you gonna clip it up and do what with it, baby? You want to share it with your friends?
Oh,
What you
this is
gonna do?
good.
I want to meet. I want to meet
I like
David.
David.
I want to meet David. David has got a good water
He's
palate.
giving us something that we can talk to.
David,
So
tell us
yeah,
what you're going to do with the clip. But yes, David, if you are on the mailing list, you will get a replay of this. And I just ask that when you clip it up and share it, that you give credit to the 10K project, since that's how you saw it. And we would definitely appreciate that.
right. So, but I would recommend if you haven't tried this water, because I think the price that we're at right now is only for about a week as well. So just 7 to 10 days, I think. Uh, Definitely, if you know your sample costs you a couple of bucks, get it. It's worth it. And then tell us what you think. If you hate it, let us know. We're not afraid of kind of finding out the truth. We're all about the truth. Our water's the truth. So by all means, get you a case, try it out, and let us know.
And right now, so www.sokashores, and Talisha will put it in the chat and in the Facebook Live, sokashores.com. Right now, for the next 10 days, $22 per case, no shipping.
Right. No shipping.
He is bananas today. He's just giving all the deals away today.
I'm excited. I'm
No
excited. Doesn't it
shipping.
show? Doesn't it show? Because
That is
we're
what's
doing
up.
that. We're doing that damn thing, and it's exciting.
This is wonderful. Oh, David says, I've been a member of the 10K since the beginning and will definitely give just due. Thank you, David. We appreciate you, brother. What other questions do you guys have? I did not think we were going to go over tonight. Oh my God.
This is
This is
exciting.
awesome.
I like questions. I like questions.
This is what's up. Everybody's saying they placed their order. Looking forward to validating Tawana's exceptional life-changing claims. It's really good. It's really good. I'm not gonna lie. Like, my favorite two waters are Black owned. Like, this is the best life ever. Like, this is what's up. This is what's up. Very, very good. Yes, and if anybody's interested in becoming a member, right now we've got a wait list. So if you go to become a member on the website, you will have the option to put your name and email. I think that's programmed in, because we are changing membership and what membership gets you. And so right now we're not taking any members. You can also send us an email at info@the10kproject.com and we'll add you manually to the wait list. But to be a paid member and get access to some of the paid events, we are looking at what that looks like going forward for 2025 and beyond. All right. Opal says this is fire. I'm going to have to log off now. This is definitely fire. Thank you, Opal. No, this is wonderful. I love that you guys are excited about not just the investment opportunity, but also the business opportunity. You know, many of us have young people in our lives that are looking to do something independent of working for an employer. This is something awesome to recommend to them. It really, really is. I mean, five different ways that we can make a business out of this. And I think it definitely is worth investigating. I've got two more questions and then I think we can say goodnight. My questions are around white labeling. No additional fees for the label, like you pay for the bottle of water, or are there any
There
hidden
are fees, but I'm my plan is to waive them at least for the foreseeable future because it's part of the company we're building up. So yes, there will be fees down the road, but today, no. Because
Okay.
sometimes it's just the cost of doing business, right? You pay for advertising. It's not a loss leader if it generates business.
Okay. And then thinking about the private label option. So we got 27 pallets, 50,000 cartons. Do they have to be paid for upfront? Or if we commit to the 27 pallets, they could be paid for over time for the life of the agreement? How does that work?
You have to pay a certain amount up front, right? Not for the whole thing, but you have to because it has to be a commitment. Otherwise, we're carrying
Understood.
it, right? But
Understood.
there's an investment up front. It is what it is. But the opportunity to get a white label is long-term business, especially when I talked about kind of the sports paraphernalia. We're actually talking to a couple of NIL teams right now that are, they sell a lot of sports paraphernalia for college. And they're like, man, can we get this on? And the thing about it is they're not like legally allowed to use the emblems and et cetera for the teams, but we've all seen shirts and hats and things that are close enough, at least I am as a sports fan, that I'm going to get it. And everybody's going to know if it says Ohio, it's Ohio State. Everybody says, you're gonna. So what we do is we allow you to get close enough. And it's all legal to be able, someone's like, oh man, this is my Saturday morning fuel. My water is Saturday morning fuel and it's in my school colors. We're gonna get a case and we're gonna go and we're gonna barbecue. We're gonna have some adult beverages, but we also gotta hydrate. In the boxes that they're gonna hydrate are gonna look just like their team. Right. So the goal to put you in business is give you every opportunity and advantage, to win. And so this is something no one else is thinking about. No one's thinking about bottled water. They're thinking about hats and other tchotchkes. And you walk in with something that's hydration, that's healthy, you know, it's just a win. So they're not going to see you coming. And that was our goal, right? Do I have every idea down? No, I don't. But we put some thought into it, and we thought that these five options were a good start. Welcome anyone's thoughts on other ones that we may not be aware of.
Very
Willing to
good.
work with you.
Well, this has been wonderful, sir. Thank you so very much. Please don't delay in sending us over the PDF because the people
Immediately.
people want to see the replay, right? They want to have it. So we want to send it out this evening at the very latest tomorrow. So please send that over so we can have it. We will get the replay out to you guys. It is also streaming here in the Facebook group for anyone who came in late and you want to catch the beginning. And we thank you guys for hanging out with us on this day. We're so excited. Tomorrow is another presentation. We will be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time or you haven't been able to hang out with us, please register for tomorrow's session. You can come in and hang out with us in the Zoom again, or you can watch the stream. But we'd love to have you where we're going to love on another Black founder and support what they're doing. All right, Nimon, I appreciate you so much, sir. I really, really do.
Honor's
I'm
mine.
gonna go place my shipping free order now too.
I look forward to see you folks out there. I'm going to send off that PDF as soon as I exit here.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Peace and blessings.
Peace.